Hey, good morning. Chillie here with Chillie's Cruises. Welcome to Travel and Cruise Industry News for this, the 29th day of October 2019. Welcome to all of you. We've had quite a few new subscribers this week. We're up to 1,591 as of this morning. So if you're new to these pages, we welcome you. We're here 3 days a week, Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday mornings at 6 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time to talk about news in the travel and cruise industry. We cover a number of topics usually, depending on what's going on in the world. I do not work for a cruise line, a cruise company, or a travel agency. So therefore, I can give my opinions on what I think. I'm not controlled by anybody. So I shoot from the hip. I love to cruise. I've cruised all my life and continue to be cruising. I'm going on 2 in February. So that's what we do. Moving right along to today's topic is a story that I was involved with back in July, and it was a most disturbing story at the time and has become even more disturbing. The grandfather of the toddler who fell from the Royal Caribbean cruise ship has been arrested. Apparently, yesterday, the grandfather, who police say dropped the toddler from the Freedom of the Seas while it was docked in Puerto Rico last July, has been arrested on charges of negligent homicide and the child's death. A judge ordered the arrest of Salvatore Anello after state prosecutors submitted evidence that the 2-year-old toddler fell to the pavement when he raised her up in an open window from the Royal Caribbean cruise ship. Now, I first reported this back in July the 7th, and as it turned out, I was one of the early people to report this story when the only information available was from eyewitness accounts that had the grandfather actually waving the child, holding the child outside the window and waving her about as she slipped from his arms and fell to her death. That was later disputed. There was quite a controversy over the facts that the police gathered. Then, of course, within a few days, the family had a lawyer to get involved that kind of tried to change the story and place the blame on Royal Caribbean. I took some heat because I had reported about the grandfather waving the child out the window, which at the time was the only information that was out there, which was later disputed. And now it's come down to the sad situation that the grandfather has been arrested. Of course, the tragedy in all this is the child that lost its life. And we still don't know for sure what happened. We know the family and the mouthpiece for the family is trying to place blame on Royal Caribbean. Of course, I think they're looking for a payday at the end of this whole tragic situation. But the bottom line was the child fell to her death while the family, which is from Indiana, was on a vacation on the cruise ship. The death of Chloe Wiegand will probably never be totally satisfied in everyone's mind as to how it happened. Of course, the lawyer is saying that the criminal charges are just pouring salt on the open wounds of a grieving family. You know, that's typical of the legal end of it. The family has pretty much defended Anello on what happened. He now claims that The child was leaning against the window and he stumbled and she went out. There's several stories around. I'm not sure we'll ever know the full truth of this, but the grandfather has been arrested in San Juan. So sad story. It was sad then. It's still sad. I feel for the family. I feel for this gentleman who did it at the time when I reported that he was waving her out the window, which was the only information I had. I was, obviously upset with him at the time with the information that I had at that point. But anyway, so he's now in jail. I think it's $800,000 bond or something like that. I'm not sure about the San Juan laws and how bond works in Puerto Rico. $80,000 bond. I just saw it down here. He's scheduled to appear in court next on November the 20th. So I guess this will be an ongoing story for a while. Okay, getting into weather, and kind of an ironic situation on the weather. One of our viewers, one of our regular viewers, had picked up on some information on a storm in Alaska. And that was on Saturday, I believe. Anyway, she sent me a text to know that make sure that I was checking on this horrible storm in Alaska, because a bunch of our friends are on cruise ships up there right now. And I was at one of my funnel cake gigs, and so I pulled it up on the phone and put Alaska storm in, and I saw got some information that about this horrible storm in Alaska, and huge waves and record-breaking drop in pressure. And so, wow, I got to get on this when I get home tonight. So I sent her a text back and I said, I'm on it. So when I got home that night, as I believe it was Saturday night, and really started researching it, this was on the day that this storm had happened in 2017. So it was a couple of years ago, and it was the biggest pressure drop in history, and there was 50-foot waves out in the Aleutian Islands. So it wasn't a storm that's going on right now. It was on the anniversary of that storm. There are two actual disturbances to make note of. They're not bad ones, and they don't look like a whole lot to me, but there's one out in the Atlantic. I guess it would be directly east of Massachusetts, out near the Azores. A low pressure system, showers and thunder showers have become a little more concentrated near the center of a large non-tropical low pressure area, which is several hundred miles west-northwest of the Azores. There's a chance of further formation over the next 48 hours, about 20%. I don't see this one developing into anything at all. And the other one is on the Pacific side of things, which is a disorganized cloudiness and thunderstorms that are located several hundred miles south of the southern coast of Mexico, associated with an elongated area of low pressure. They're also saying the chance of further formation of this disturbance is at like 10%. So that's the only two things that's on the weather map right now. And neither one look very threatening. And of course, we're coming pretty much to the end of the season now. So that's going to quit being a regular topic. The other story this morning, the Carnival Sunrise, of course, is the newly refurbished Carnival Sunrise, which has been sailing out of New York. since it's finished its big refurbishment program and renaming ceremony. It has now arrived at Port Everglades, where it will be offering Caribbean and Bahamas cruises. It had a $200 million transformation. I will be sailing on the Sunrise on February the 8th out of Fort Lauderdale. If you're looking for a cruise to go on, there's probably still some cabins available on it. If you should get on that one, let me know. We'll meet up for an adult beverage or something, as I'll be on that one. I'm doing the Zooterdam on February 1st and the Sunrise on February 8th, doing back to back. The Sunrise, of course, is just under 3,000 passengers. Got a lot of new things on it from the old ship. It has, of course, Guy's Burger Joint and the Pig and Anchor Barbecue, Blue Iguana Cantina and Tequila Bar, Red Frog Rum Bar. They made some upgrades to the Lido Marketplace, which is, of course, the buffet. The 24-hour Pizzeria del Capitano is now available. The chef table has been added. Cherry on Top candy shop has been added. They've changed the pool decks with a new water park and slides. They've added some things for the kids. They've changed the theater and live entertainment. I mean, they just did a massive overhaul. So I'm looking forward to being on the Sunrise. As I've said before many times, I was first and foremost a Carnival guy, and not because I was opposed to any other cruise lines. It was just simply that was the first ship that I went on was Carnival, and I stayed with them back in the early days of my cruising, which started back in the 80s. So I've always liked Carnival. As I've gotten older, I've started expanding my horizons. Of course, I was on the Norwegian here about a month ago on the Norwegian Sun, and I'm going on the Zooterdam in February. So I'm expanding to different lines and testing out things, and of course making videos and taking pictures and all those things that I do to use on promoting cruises on my website and through YouTube videos and so forth. So I'm looking forward to going on the Sunrise, seeing this ship that's been completely renovated. So this was a rather short news day. There wasn't a whole lot going on out there in the travel and cruise industry. There was they suspended the search for the crew member that went overboard on I even forget what ship it was a couple days ago. But anyway, that's about it for on the news end of things today. There's not much going on. It was a busy weekend for me. Of course, I did the back-to-back gigs with the funnel cake business. I had two fabulous events. A really good weekend. We've got another gig coming up Thursday night at Snowflex, which is the artificial ski area up on up above Liberty University. It's owned by Liberty. And this is an event from 10 at night till 2 in the morning or something awful. I'm normally asleep those times. But that night we're going to be cooking funnel cakes and selling fresh squeezed lemonade. So we'll be up at Snowflex on the 31st. Weather is looking really sketchy for that one. I'm going up there later on today because I've never been up there to see where they want me to park the trailer and so forth. If I need to bring it up there beforehand, or if I can do it that night, and sketchy weather. It's looking really rough. And then Saturday we've got a huge band concert competition at Liberty. This was my biggest event last year. Like 40 bands from around the state of Virginia. So that's a lot of kids, a lot of parents. But that's on Saturday, the 2nd. That's going to be a big busy couple days for me. Anyway, that's about it on the news side of things. Let's see who's here this morning. Hey, there's Jason sailing on Carnival. Oh, you're going on to Paradise. That's sweet in 6 days out of Tampa. Good for you. Have fun. Have a great cruise. Be sure to let me know how things go. I haven't been on the Paradise for a long time. But back when I was on it, I loved it. So anyway, have a great cruise on that one. And time for my commercial message. I regularly post videos on all facets of the cruise and travel industry. If you like to keep up with the latest in cruise ship, ports of call, cruises themselves. My interview shows called Chillie Chats or Cruise, Travel and Cruise Industry News, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday at 6 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Just hit the little subscribe button down there in the lower right-hand corner. Click on the bell notification, and you'll be notified as soon as I go live or when I post a new video. And other than that, we'd appreciate a thumbs up. That lets YouTube know that you're out there and watching, and that's always appreciated. So that's it for this morning, y'all. I will see you again on Thursday at 6 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. So until then, this is the Fat Travel Guy. Later, y'all.